welcome back to my channel. If you have ADHD and you have ever been told that you are either too rigid in your thinking, everything for you is black and white, you're an all or nothing kind of person, and you want to incorporate a little bit more flexibility in your life, then this video is for you. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sara Kelly. I'm an ADHD mindset coach, and I come out with videos every single week on everything ADHD and the isms that pair with having ADHD. If you're not already following my channel, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a video from me. I'm going to read directly from my laptop because I did a ton of research for this video and I found out some things that I didn't actually know about ADHD, and I think that you're going to be interested in understanding your brain a little bit more if you are someone who is a little bit more black and white or rigid in your tendencies. So the first thing that I found was the neurological difference, which we all know about. ADHD is not a deficit, but rather a neurological difference. It is largely attributed to variations in brain structure and function, particularly in areas related to attention, impulse control, and executive functioning. This unique wiring can sometimes lead to more rigid thinking patterns as the brain seeks to create order from perceived chaos. What that tells me is our rigidness is really there as a mechanism to help protect us, which is really interesting to me. The second thing that I found is executive function challenges. Executive functions are cognitive processes that help us plan, focus attention, remember instructions, and juggle multiple tasks. For those with ADHD, these functions can be impaired, leading to challenges in flexible thinking and a tendency towards more rigid thought patterns. Again, it's kind of this survival mode mechanism that we are really using to adapt to what life throws at us. Next thing is stress response. I don't know about you, but I am chronically overwhelmed as an ADHDer. Even just thinking about doing the thing before I get started sometimes can send me into a complete spiral of, oh my goodness, where do I start? What if I don't do it perfectly right? What is a deadline? All of these things. So stress response makes a lot of sense. Chronic stress and anxiety are common among people with ADHD, can trigger our fight or flight response. This survival mechanism can narrow our focus to perceive threats and limit our ability to think flexibly, leading to more rigid thinking. And the next one is really interesting because a lot of us with ADHD have had seasons in our life where we hyperfocus. Now, sometimes hyperfocusing is really, really good for us, but it isn't always. Hyperfocus phenomenon. Hyperfocus is a common trait in people with ADHD. While it allows for intense concentration, it can also contribute to rigid thinking when individuals become overly focused or obsessed with a particular idea or task, limiting their openness to alternative perspectives or solutions. And when it comes to hyperfocus, I want to connect the dots for you even a little bit further while slightly squirreling. If you've ever heard of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is a phenomenon that was coined by William Dodson, it's not currently in the DSM for people who have ADHD, but there's a high correlation between rejection sensitivity and having ADHD. If you've ever felt rejected, maybe you're waiting for someone to text you back, or your boss sends you an email and tells you that they want to see you for some sort of meeting, we can really start hyper-focusing in a way that sends us down a catastrophic vortex of negative thoughts, self-doubt, self-loathing, being scared of rejection. And that is also a type of hyperfocus. If you struggle with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I have a video pinned somewhere up here or down there that goes over what rejection sensitivity dysphoria is and tangible steps that you can use right now today the next time you are struggling with rejection. All right, let's continue. Adaptation mechanism is our last one to go over. Rigid thinking can sometimes be an adaptive mechanism for dealing with the challenges of ADHD. By sticking to what is familiar and predictable, individuals with ADHD may attempt to create a sense of control and reduce feelings of overwhelm. And you know, the control aspect of it is really huge, and it makes sense that it would lead us to have more rigid thinking. When we feel like we don't fit into a situation with other people, or maybe at work, or we feel like maybe we're coming up short, even if we're not, we could be struggling with perfectionism or imposter syndrome. It is natural for us to be craving that sense of control, which can absolutely come off as being more rigid or black and white. Now that we've gone over why we might struggle with rigid thinking, let's talk about a couple of things that you can start implementing right now today that are ADHD friendly to help you the next time you catch yourself in more of a black and white state of mind. I'm not sure out of the 3 tips that I'm about to give you which is my favorite, but number 1 is definitely up there. I mean, maybe they're all up there, I can't decide. And that is embracing what I like to call it the gray zone. Let's say a situation happens and you have a state of mind that is very concrete and you don't see it budging. Something that you can try to do is write down the opposite of that. So let's say you've been at a job for a really long time and all of a sudden you get a new manager. And this new manager is maybe a lot younger than you and more into technology and not the old-fashioned way of doing things by way of fax machine or long-winded emails and meetings in a boardroom. This person uses social media, is using AI, and believes in Zoom meetings. Someone with rigid thinking or someone who is not fluid would be really stuck in their ways. My way is the right way. I've been doing this for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, and I don't want to learn another way. There are multiple ways to get to one's end goal, a company's end goal, or a person's end goal. So embracing fluidity might include learning a little bit more about social media or how to download Zoom and put on Zoom meetings. Embracing fluidity can feel tough and uncomfortable at first, especially since a lot of us ADHDers are very doing learners. We don't always like to read the instructions. We're more so tactile and visual and doing learners. And so we might feel really stuck in that old way of thinking of, no, I want to use a fax machine. I want the long-winded emails and the face-to-face in board meetings. But there are other ways to skin a horse than your own. So fluidity really is, and embracing the gray zone really is being open to learning new ways of doing things, being open to different ways how people think, being open even to tough conversations about, dare I say, politics or religion, and having an openness to seeing things from a different point of view. Now, my next tip is celebrating small wins. And the reason this is so important is our ADHD brains move so quickly. We're always on to the next thing. And when you stop and you're able to celebrate the small wins, that is taking a different perspective than being so fast to move on to the next thing. Have you in the past, or are you currently managing to change your perspective on challenging situations? That's an absolute win. Did you catch yourself in a rigid thinking pattern and you're able to catch yourself mid-thought process? That's also another massive win. You know, as ADHDers, we are deficient in dopamine. And so if you're not on medication, and medication doesn't work for everybody, and some people don't believe in medication, we need to find ways to create natural dopamine. We can do that in really healthy ways by celebrating small wins. And I don't just mean celebrating, like really get excited. That creates dopamine. There is science that shows that celebrating happiness, joy, all creates dopamine. These affirmations and celebrations reinforce your ability to be more fluid in your thinking, and that is truly embracing the gray zone as well. And the last tip is one that I use a ton. As I said in the beginning of this video, I am a mindset coach, so I need to talk about mindset. There is also a bunch of research on neuroplasticity, the way we think about things, the way we see the world helps us stay present and to also manage our thoughts. And the key with this is managing our thoughts without judgment. It's okay to have a thought that maybe isn't positive or negative, or even one that is self-defeating from time to time. We're human beings. We're going to have feelings, and ADHDers have really big feelings. The fastest way to get through a difficult feeling is to accept it. I'm angry. I didn't like when this person did this to me. I didn't like when my boss told me this or that or whatever. I didn't like how my spouse talked to me or my child talked to me, and I am angry. That's okay. Naming the emotion without judgment. So for example, I'm angry and now I'm a bad person because I'm always angry. Just naming the emotion without that judgment is the quickest way to move through it without having it linger for hours and hours, which, let's face it, sometimes we do. As ADHDers, we can really get inside our own head. And this is a beautiful segue for me to invite you to my complimentary masterclass where I go over the 5 pillars to creating lasting change when you have ADHD and maybe struggle with your mindset, the way you see the world, or how you feel about yourself. There is a link in the description of this video for you to sign up. Thank you so much for listening to today's video. I really enjoyed researching it, and I know I say that every week, but I am learning a ton, and it's because of all of you motivating me to make videos up every week. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already liked this video and sent it a little heart and maybe commented, send it to an ADHDer you love. Please do so by supporting this channel and liking this video. This video will reach more ADHDers in the algorithm. I will see you next week in the next video.